Hello everyone, welcome to a World of Warship Blitz video. Today's video is brought to you by the Tier 7 United States light cruiser, the Atlanta, which is a fantastic ship. Well, actually it's a fragile ship and it's a dangerous ship to play in because it is so fragile, but it's a lot of fun because it has a lot of guns. So it is, by the way, this is the third time I've recorded this, so yeah. I just wanted to share that simply because, yeah, I've had a few crashes. I do record these on my phone, and I'm not having a good day. But anyway, back to the game. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is premium ships and whether or not you should purchase them. So I haven't been putting a lot of videos up, certainly not recently. But there have been people asking questions, so I do check the comments. And one of the questions was about the Campbelltown. Someone asked me if it was worth getting as a SEAL clubber at Tier 3. So let's answer that specific question. If anybody wants to know what I answered, my answer simply is that at Tier 3, anything can be a SEAL clubber. It's your skill. So as long as you know how to play the game, you can SEAL club with pretty much any ship at Tier 3. So you don't need the Campbelltown to do it. Just pick a ship at random, and if you play the game often enough, if you're able to play at Tier 6, you can SEAL club at Tier 3. So, right, but it does ask a good question. Should you purchase a premium ship if you like the game? So if you don't like the game, well, then don't purchase. That's nice and simple. If you do like the game, well, let's go for some basic stuff. Let's just go for some basic rules that can help you out about determining whether or not I should purchase ship X, Y, or Z. So number one is don't purchase above the level of play that you are in the tech tree. So what I mean by that is that if you're at Tier 6 in the tech tree and you purchase a Tier 8 ship, you will find that your games will be painful losses. And it's a pretty much a given rule, right? So you can't buy your way to success. Gone are the days where you could slap a game in the CD-ROM and pump it out in a couple of days, maybe a week or something, play the game through to the end. These games have a very slow progression. Sometimes it's the skill base required, like World of Warship Blitz, where you really need to have spent the time in the game to have the skills to be able to play it effectively. The other game that I'm playing recently that I won't mention the name of because some of my viewers get triggered, it's about the resources that you get. You don't have sufficient resources to make your champions effective to play the game at a higher level unless you've played the game for some period of time. So there's no skipping ahead. That is what I mean by that. You just simply cannot jump to a tier that you haven't got experience in and expect to do well in it. You could be the exception, but I think that exception would be the 1 in a million exception, and those aren't the odds that I'd bank on. So, first of all, don't buy above your level. Secondly, do some research. So there are some ships that are known to be better than others. So, for example, if you went out and purchased the Tier 5 Russian cruiser, the Krasny Krim, you'll probably find that you don't really enjoy it. It's just not a super enjoyable ship. Now, if you love the Tier 4 Svetlana and swear by it, maybe the Krasny Krim's your thing. But as soon as you get to higher tier ships, you'll realize that the Krasny Krim's a bit of an outlier. And it's not teaching you anything. It's basically a boat. It's a gun. It's a ship with individual guns peppered around the outside of the hull. It's a bit like the St. Louis in that respect. It hasn't got the sort of turrets that you get out of the higher tier ships, so you're not learning anything in the Krasny Krim that that's putting you ahead. Essentially, you're playing a dead-end ship, so it's not something I'd purchase. And there are other ships that I would probably recommend a bit of care around, like the Okhotnik, which is the Tier 5 Russian destroyer, which can be absolute fun, but is generally a disaster to play. So people can do well in it, unlike the Krasny Krim, which is sort of ordinary all over. It's just difficult. But there are some ships that are definitely good, identified as good ships. And there's ships that are identified as good in the right hand. So the good ships would be the Roma, the Belfast, the West Virginia. Those are excellent ships. Ships that do well in the right hands is the Tier 7 Italian cruiser, the Degli, the Duca del Degli, whatever it is. The Tier 7 Premium Light Cruiser is an excellent ship, but in the right hands, so not quite as, not quite as top tier as the Roma. And there are ships that are situational. A good example of that would be Le Terrible, which is the Tier 8 French destroyer, which is in the right hands can be quite good, but is, well, pretty inconsistent, to be fair. In the wrong hands, it's a bit of a disaster. So it's not a good ship, it's a different ship. So the first thing is it above your tier? The second thing is it a good ship? The third thing, and probably the most important, is it something you'd like to play? So I've spoken about 3 ships that are identified as being excellent ships, being the Roma, the Belfast, and the West Virginia. I have 2 of those ships, and I will never get the third. The West Virginia just isn't my thing. So it's not my style. A lot of people love that ship. A lot of people play that ship in events. Oops, bit of a collision going on here. But it's just not, yeah, I'm just not into the heavy, slow, sort of mid-tier American dreadnoughts like the Colorado, like the West Virginia. I know they're good ships. They've got excellent armor. They've got excellent guns. They've got good dispersion. They're very forgiving ships for new players. They're fantastic in that respect. Very capable, but I just don't like spending a lot of time crawling around the map at low speeds. I'll put up with it in the Nelson, I'll put up with it in the Warspite, but I'm not going to be bothered putting up with it in the West Virginia. So those are the 3 things that I'd basically say. Not above your tier. Is it a reasonable ship? And is it something you want to play? And at that point, it's just your love of the game. That would make it determination about whether or not you would purchase a ship. How much value would you get out of it? Because if you purchase a ship for X dollars, work it out. If you play 50 games in it and it costs $50, that's $1 a game. If you play 150 games in it and it costs $50, that's 33 cents a game. You can go and have a look at how often you play the game or how often you've played some of your most played ships, assess how much you like it, assess how much it fits your style, and then make the decision from there. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Maybe it doesn't. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.